My husband had an affair, and his daughter chose her dad's affair partner over me. So I divorced my husband and disowned his daughter, and now she regrets it and wants to stay. I, 35 female, met my now soon-to-be ex-husband, 33 male, during university 12 years ago. He already had a kid when he was 19, but the mom left as soon as he started university. We were dating for 3 months before I met his daughter, Lisa. I remember seeing his family for the first time. I was nervous meeting his parents, but when I saw a little girl beside his mom, I was confused. I asked him if that was his little sister or a cousin of his, and his answer shocked me. When he told me that that's his daughter, I thought I misheard him or something. At first, I wanted to dump him for hiding something so crucial from me, but he kept on begging for me to stay. And eventually, I relented, and soon enough, I started to fall in love with his daughter and wanted to be her mother figure. Our bond grew stronger over the years, and in early 2019, before the pandemic hit, we got married. In late 2021, I adopted Lisa. And in early 2022, my husband and I had our son, Mark. After my son was born, my husband made the choice to stay at home for the time being, and I was completely fine with that. Everything was going perfectly until a few months ago. I started noticing my husband increasingly spending time with his friends. At the time, I didn't say anything since, in my mind, being at home all day probably meant eating at him, and I didn't want to seem controlling. The thing that made me suspicious was his constant texting and going out of the room for calls. He never did that for anyone besides this one friend of his. I asked him about it, but he gave me some vague answers about gossip. The moment that took it too far, though, was when I came home last week and saw him outside talking on the phone. This wasn't out of the ordinary. I remember seeing my son on the floor crying alone. I was pissed at my husband for just leaving him alone in the house, but when I went to pick him up and smelled the horrible stench coming from him, I was beyond furious. His diaper seemed like it hadn't been changed since that morning. I quickly changed his diaper and rushed outside with him in my arms. I was beyond pissed. I snatched his phone from his hand and bolted back inside. I locked my husband outside to have a talk with this friend of his alone. I had my suspicions about who it really was, and when I heard a male voice calling out his name and asking who was there, I immediately knew what was going on. He ended the call as soon as he heard my voice. I then proceeded to lock the front door to make sure my husband couldn't enter the house at all and proceeded to screenshot as much of their chat as I could and then sent them to myself before deleting them on his phone. About 5 minutes later, he was still banging on the glass door leading to the backyard. I reluctantly opened it and was met with a smack in the face. Remember, all of this is happening while I'm holding my toddler in my arms. As soon as he realized what he just did, he apologized profusely, started crying, and tried to hug me. I pushed him away and told him to meet me at the dining table. I told my daughter to quickly take care of the baby so me and her dad could have a quick chat. I just kept it simple. I told him this was his only chance to even have a sliver of chance of getting me back. If he messed up this talk, it was over on the spot. No lies. Nothing. He kept on trying to apologize and to say it wasn't that serious. I reminded him that he not only betrayed me, but he could also have easily done serious harm to our son by leaving him alone in the house like that. I then simply asked who? For how long? And did they sleep together? He replied with his ex-boss, Danielle, 6 months, and he didn't answer the last one, so I kept on reminding him that this was his last chance. He then just simply nodded. I then asked him if they used protection. To this, he started crying and started begging me for forgiveness. He said he would block her then and there, would never contact her again, and that I could do it with any man I want from now on, yada yada. I guess Lisa heard the commotion and came downstairs. I told her to go back up, but she just walked to my husband and asked him if I knew about Danielle. Up to this point, I was calm, but upon hearing this, I swear even I started tearing up. I asked Lisa if she knew all along, and she said yes. At this point, I'm full on crying, and I asked her why she didn't tell me. She responded with, "Because unlike you, Danielle buys me the things I want without having to beg." I then asked her how she could possibly do this to her mom. She responded with, "You are not my real mom." My husband screamed at her upon hearing what she said. At that point, I couldn't bear any of this anymore. I just grabbed my son and got into the car. Me and my son are currently staying at my parents' house. I've basically been drinking myself to sleep every day. Thanks to the saint of a mother I have, my son is being taken care of right now. I'm beyond hurt. I've canceled my ex-daughter's private school tuition, all her extracurricular activities, and I've contacted a divorce lawyer. He's going to serve my husband this Friday. My husband and Lisa have been blowing up my phone nonstop with apologies. I simply responded with, "Get a lawyer and tell that ungrateful thing of yours to start calling Danielle her mom." I'm disowning her, and then I blocked my husband. I didn't respond to Lisa. I just simply blocked her. I guess my husband told our friends what he and Lisa did, and now they have been texting me nonstop. They understand how I feel, but believe I'm going too far by divorcing my husband without hearing him out. They also keep telling me that disowning Lisa is definitely going too far, and she's only a kid and didn't understand what she was doing. I just can't get over the things she told me. I've worked myself off to give my husband and daughter luxuries I could have only dreamed of as a kid, and this is how I get paid back. Lisa, 13 years old, is old enough to understand that hiding her dad's affair is bad and definitely purposely used those words to hurt me. But a part of me believes that there is still hope. A few family counseling sessions later, and we can go back to living the life I once considered a fairy tale. I'm beyond destroyed by this whole situation. A part of me just wants to see them burn in hell, but the other part of me believes there is still hope. Am I really going too far? Is there still hope?